All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Darion McCloud. I talked about him in class and told you about his that we have a pretty well-known storyteller here in Columbia, and so I wanted you to meet him and hear a little bit about what he does. So, Darion, I wanted to ask you first, like, where are you now? What are you doing now as a storyteller? What are you doing? Just tell me about
it. Am I paying the bills?
Well, what are you doing? What's the combination? What are you doing?
Well, I have a theater company, NIA Theater Company, capital N, small I, capital A. So I'm busy with that a lot. We're actually writing a one-man show that I'm performing in right now that we were commissioned by the Art Commission. So there's that. I do a lot of consulting with all kinds of things, situations. I still do a lot of teaching. I'm a teaching artist, so I do a lot of residencies and everything from elementary schools to college. Excuse me, even colleges sometimes, depending on the situation. I perform in all kinds of situations, from acting to writing to directing and storytelling. So it's a big mix because if I were just an actor, I would start with that. If I were just a teacher, I would start there. If I were just a writer, blah, blah. So that combination of things keeps me busy.
Okay. How did you get here? What was your process to become a storyteller, actor?
I had it all planned out at the age of 2. I was born a poor black child. No, actually, it was all accidental. I grew up an artist. My first visual artist, excuse me. My first memories really are not of speaking, but of drawing. So all through school, I was a kid that could draw. And I went to I got a BA in studio arts from the University of South Carolina, and I became what I call the Legion. I was another starving artist out there trying to make my way through the world. I got a gig with the Richland Library when it was still Richland County Public Library, and in the children's room. And the children's room has a co-sponsors along with the library school a storytelling festival every year. Augusta Baker's does it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you get a gig here, you're going to have to tell stories. You can do that. I was like, yeah, cool, I'm good. Had no idea what they were talking about. But when I saw what they were doing, I was like, oh, I know. This kid I went to high school with, I played football in high school. This kid, Steve Wise, would tell these stories about Pop Warner football, but he'd make them sound like NFL films. He's still one of the best storytellers I've ever seen. So I was like, oh, that's what Steve did. So I did it at the Augusta Baker, and I was lucky people kind of dug me. So next thing I knew, I was going to schools, and I was going to museums and wherever. And I was at a school performing once, and a parent came to me. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm going beyond. You asked me how I got there. That's how I got to storytelling.
Okay.
But eventually storytelling led to theater. I went to a school and performed there, and the parent asked, she's like, oh, you're really good. What theater do you work with? It's like, theater. And it's like, yeah, you're an actor. I said, I'm not an actor. She's like, oh, you're an actor. You just don't know it. So that led to me going on audition. It all kind of rolled in together. But unlike most people, I didn't even know that storytelling was a real vocation. Right. Even though I grew up as a child who loved stories, loved mythology, comic books, anything. As an adult, I look back now and realize I was always storytelling, just not in a formal setting, a formal situation.
Okay. So your impetus was just working at Richland County Public Library because they pushed you? That's what got you started?
Well, like I said, if you're in the children's room, we all had to tell stories. We had literally 3 stories to tell. And like I said, I told, and people started reaching out to me. I kind of became the unofficial, official storyteller with the library system.
Right, because I've been in Columbia a long time also,
right.
And so I remember you being at the library. Are you still affiliated with Richland County Public Library?
Well, no? I still do a lot of things with them.
Yes.
But as
you're not an official employee.
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I just did a program with them, Pigskin Poets, which was a program I designed and developed when I was there. But when I moved on, they contracted me basically to keep it going.
Okay.
So I do a lot of situations like that. Like Nia performs at the library a lot. I do a lot of storytelling things there. I do a lot of workshops. So even though I'm not employed by the library anymore, officially employed, I get contracted by the library a lot.
Now, I have a memory of seeing you do Shakespeare in the park
Right.
in the summer.
Mm-hmm,
Are you still doing, is that the South Carolina Shakespeare Company or?
I am still a member of the South Carolina Shakespeare Company.
Okay.
Even though I haven't done a show in a while, my mouth is hungry for Shakespeare. And but what's happening now is I'm lucky enough to be pretty busy, so I haven't had time to just make it fit,
Okay.
make it work. You know, like there are actual auditions next week for Macbeth. You know, my favorite, everybody's favorite. But yeah, you might want to pass that on to Gus.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, I'll give you some more info before I leave.
Okay.
I think I can forward the email to you.
Okay.
Linda. But
Well, he just mentioned he wants to get into a play at USC or something, but the South Carolina Shakespeare Company would also be cool.
Okay.
And he played Banquo in Macbeth at Dreer, so he's got the line.
Gotcha. But I'm not going to audition probably because, like I said, we're working on our own project right now. The performance dates, that'll be we got a show. I'm running my own theater company.
Right.
So
right.
Even when other people are doing things that I want to do, like I can't step away.
Yes, I get it when you're the manager. All right, so you've kind of already answered this question. Where do you perform?
All over. I performed at one of the more memorable performances was I performed at a memorial service. A woman seen me perform somewhere, and when she passed on, she asked her friends if I would tell a story at her funeral.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of
really
cool.
nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Thought it was so nice. But everything from preschools to the governor's mansion to high schools to theaters, museums, like anywhere people gather.
Right.
Bonfires, literally. That's a good thing about storytelling. It's portable. It's in you. Well, let me take that back. It's in us. That's the mistake we make. I'm a professional storyteller,
right.
But we're all storytellers.
Yes.
You know, but it's in us. So as long as I can be heard, I can travel wherever. So yeah, it's been good that way. Like everything from theaters to street corners. You know, and I'm lucky enough that I have the big voice. I can cut through things. I can be put in difficult situations and still be heard.
And I certainly struggle as a storyteller and as a classroom teacher with volume.
Right.
So, you know, I think you have a natural gift as far as projection and
Right.
the richness of your voice. What would you recommend to your reedy voiced friends who are trying to?
Well, first thing is just kind of knowing what you can do. You know, don't, like when I go to festivals and I see other storytellers, oh man, that's a great story. But that's not my story. You know, just because every story is great doesn't mean it's for you. So kind of figuring out what are your strengths. Sometimes being a quiet storyteller can actually be to your benefit because you can kind of pull people in. And so if you're not a big voice person, you always want to work on projection. And a lot of times for storytellers, and storytelling and acting, they run parallel, but they're not the same. Right. They share a lot. And this is one of the places they share. It's not always even volume, it's clarity. You know, you could be as loud as you want, but if you want to understand what you're saying, or the quieter you are, the more clear you have to be. So even think about that, just your diction, how clearly you're pronouncing these words, especially, you know, as a southern black male. I mean, even though I was already storytelling, when I first got on stage as an actor, I was kind of mumbling. I wasn't used to projecting in that way.
Okay.
So I'll give you a couple of technical things. One of the things is really simple. Open your mouth. As Southerners, we're real comfortable kind of talking.
A little bit of mush mouth.
Right,
yeah.
a little bit of mush mouth. You know, and you almost barely part your lips. just as an exercise, get used to opening your mouth, over-exaggerating, letting your jaw really drop. And all that does really is just, it lets the sound out. Because a lot of us actually produce enough sound, we're just not accustomed to talking in that way. Just letting it get out. That's the big thing. Another thing too is really, when you walk into a space, be confident. Especially teachers, librarians. I'm still in the classroom a lot. I go to libraries a lot. I go to a lot of alternative schools, and I used to do a lot of prisons. I don't anymore. I actually miss that.
Can we talk a little bit about prison telling? And I just think
great. I think they're great audiences.
Yes.
They got nothing but time.
Yes, I used to. In college, I volunteered at a women's prison in New Orleans.
Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And it was quite an adventure, and I've got stories about that because I ended up with a black guy playing soccer, and then, of course, all the women in the prison were like, "Who beat you up?" Well,
Excuse me.
Yeah. So, but it was also sharing books and stories with those women, and it wasn't storytelling per se, but it was about literature, about reading, about sharing stories.
A lot of well-read people. Like I said, they got nothing but time.
Exactly.
They're sitting there, they're reading, and they really want to. What better way? Now the big thing now is empathy. Current political climate has really made us think about empathy.
Yes.
Because we're also, you're in your camp and I'm in my camp and blah, blah, blah. And what better way to come together than through art, through spoken word or written word or the performed word or whatever. It really gives us an opportunity to at least think about other people. And I think what that happens in prison a lot, you got time to think. You're I've had some most thoughtful discussions about literature behind prison walls, with people with all kinds of different perspectives and all kinds of different takes. But like I said, they got time, they're smart, they dive in, and it's good stuff.
It is.
Good stuff. But I got off. I was trying to give you some techniques.
Yes.
Open your mouth. Be confident. Warm it up. A lot of times you get to the place and people like to just tell the story. On the drive over, tell yourself the story. Warm it up. Warm up. We don't think about this, but your chest and your lungs, your tongue, these are muscles. Just like I just met your son, the athlete.
Right.
Just like they have to warm up.
Yep.
They have a better performance. We have to warm up. And also it gets your brain ready too. And I even do a lot of things. I used to tell stories in my car, turn the radio up to 10 and tell stories against the radio.
Oh.
Or I would.
So you practice that projection. To being able to talk over
all
a little
the
bit.
time. And now I've always had a big voice. But now it's pretty natural for me. It's so natural. People don't think that I ever work at it. But of course you work at it.
Right.
Like anything else, you're always working.
Right. Well, because I'm in a school, when I come back after the summer and then I do a couple days of orientation and I spend, 6 hours straight teaching and talking. And by the end of that 6 hours, particularly because my voice is out of shape after sitting quietly reading all summer, then I get in front of the groups I come home and I'm exhausted and my throat hurts.
People underestimate. People think I'll get booked for a gig and we're going to have X amount of students or X amount is going to be in this festival, whatever. And whoever's booking, the booking agent, they'll want you to tell for 7 hours nonstop. I'm like, no, that can't happen. That can't happen because it's like I said, you're exhausted.
It's exhausting.
And and especially being a performer where all eyes are on you, we underestimate even the emotional commitment.
Right.
So between the emotional and the physical, kind of have to. You're in a different situation because you just kind of have to do what you have to do. But as much as possible, if you're going out, if you got a gig, do 45-minute blocks if it's a multiple. You don't need to tell people. If people could, they would make you tell all 24 hours, like you're a machine, and you're not.
Right.
But as a professional, part of my responsibility is to let them know that. Well, or even let them know like when I go to schools, especially when I'm doing the lower L. So that's everything from pre-K to second grade, right? And, you know, they're like, pre-K, I don't care how good you are. After 30 minutes, every minute you get, you steal it. So, you know.
Because they're a bunch of squirrels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I tell them, you know, they just learned language. They're loving it, but they just learned language. So the expectation, like I tell people usually, in that block you want to go about 30 minutes max. 20, 25 minutes works just as well. You know, one of the things as a professional, I try to tell people all the time, one of the better skills I have pretty much is knowing when to shut up. You always want to leave people wanting you to come back instead of going one story too long.
Right.
And especially with the little ones. So come in, I'm big, I'm active, boom, 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 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, we're done. With the older kids, I could take my time a little bit. I could go a little bit longer. But even them, I go about 45 minutes.
Okay.
You know, protect yourself, don't feel like, I think everybody tends to overpromise, especially if you don't do it a lot.
Right.
And someone will just say, oh, so we're going to put you with our second graders for 2 hours. I'm like, no, I'm not doing
No,
that.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know, and I don't work with little kids. And I don't have little kids in the house anymore, but. And that's we have a storyteller in our class who does the bookmobile in Florence. And so I drove out to Florence and did a ride along. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Very cool.
And I was initially surprised that the program was about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's right. That's exactly what it needed to be.
Right.
Because and she had some dancing in there and
Yeah.
some music, and so it's that.
Get a little movement.
Right.
Get some stretches involved. Get some good stuff to add, and plus it protects you. Like I remember when I first started storytelling, I used to feel the opposite. I felt like I had to feel every second. I had to be doing something, saying something, doing something. And then after a while, you figure out like, no, I'm actually overdoing things. You kind of relax.
Right.
And actually, when you see a relaxed performer, doesn't matter what the discipline is, singer, dancer, actor, a relaxed performer exudes confidence.
And it's more enjoyable for the audience.
Yes.
So that brings me to one of my next questions. A lot of us in this class have stage fright. And I will tell you that, you know, my initial recordings for this class, because I've never done an online class, I think were a little rigid and had lots of ums.
Yeah.
And our first recordings, because this is distance ed, our first recordings as a class were a little bit awkward.
Right.
So how do you deal with stage fright? Do you still have it? Did you ever have it?
I used to. I don't. I tell people all the time, my life was kind of, even though I didn't know it, my life was kind of preparing me for the stage. Like between being an artist and being an athlete and being a nerd and all, I was kind of used to criticism, critique and criticism, which the two are different.
Right.
And I was used to being nervous. But I tell my actors all the time, it's okay to be nervous. That just means you care. It's all right. You know, sometimes we beat ourselves. Oh, I'm nervous. Well, it's okay to be nervous. What is not okay to be is afraid. The best thing you could do is be prepared. If you put in the time, I don't care if it's a linebacker scraping down to make a tackle to an actor saying lines. If you put in the time, it gives you that confidence. You know what you're doing. And also, when you do have a misstep, which you will because you're not a machine, and sometimes, to be totally honest, sometimes your misstep is the most interesting thing that happens all night, all day. You know, you'll say something and like, oh, I've never said that like that before, but I'm gonna go with it, and you discover this other thing. If you put in the time, you can go with it. Now, also, if you're really, really nervous, if you practice enough, when the stage fright kicks in, you can still overcome that because you've trained yourself. One of the things I used to do, like I said, I used to go against the radio. One of the things I do is I would think about scenarios. And some of you can't predict, you just gotta learn. Like, you know, I remember once I was performing and they had this big radio station boom van next to me. There's no way I can compete. There's no way I can compete. back in the day, I just kept going, thinking I'm supposed to do this. And now, I would just stop, politely go over there, ask her to turn it off, and keep going.
Right.
You know, part of it is we get nervous, we feel like we don't have control. You have control. It's okay. And remember, when people come to see you, they want you to be good. They don't want you to be bad. You know, people like to talk. Oh, this guy, that girl, blah, blah. That's what people do. But most of the time, we went to the movies last night, we're not hoping that movie's going to be awful. We want it to be good.
You want it to be good.
So if you think about the audience as your friends, I actually think of the audience as my collaborators. I've been lucky enough to have a few, I call them magic times or magic moments. When you're on stage, and to me, it really feels like one organism. It feels like I'm breathing in, the audience is breathing out. It feels like I'm breathing out. You know, you hit that moment.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
You get in the zone.
Yeah. You're just like, So, if you think of the audience first, they're there for you. They want you to be good. Don't put pressure on yourself, but they're your friends. They want to enjoy it.
Yes.
Relax into it. I mean, you know, sometimes in repetition too. I've done it enough now that I don't usually, but every once in a while I'll get surprised. Like, oh, I got stage fright.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I kind of like it.
Well, it makes you feel alive.
Yeah. It's fuel.
I'm still here.
Yeah. It's fuel, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be nervous, I have stage fright, but I'm not scared.
Right.
I'm not scared. You don't have to be afraid. Like I said, when you're afraid, the audience can feel it and smell it. When you're nervous, that's okay. Sometimes even nerves will make the audience root for you a little bit. You know, just own it. Don't be afraid.
Now, when you started storytelling at RCPL, did you start with little ones, or did they throw you to the wolves with the bigger ones?
Well, the first time I told was Augusta Baker's Dozen, and that was 4th graders.
Hang on a second. Hey guys, I'm doing a recording. Oh. Okay. Go ahead.
So that was 4th graders, and but I remember the first time they used to do, I think it's called Mother Goose Story Time now. We used to call it Toddler Story Time when I was there. And that was 2-year-olds. And I remember telling people, like, I was so nervous. I was so
2-year-olds?
Because, you know,
well, mom and dad are there.
Well,
right?
And not even that. I'm kind of like, a lot of men, babies are so delicate. They're so small. They kind of, I don't want to hurt. I don't want to break anything. I don't want to do anything. And I'm a lot more comfortable now.
Right.
But I've always
had some too.
Right. I've had my own. I've always loved children, but to be around all these little babies, you know, that was like 0 to 2-year-olds. So to be around these little babies that are not mine, and you know, I haven't thought about this in a long time. I remember my first story time. My first toddler story time with the babies. And I'm sitting there, and you're sitting on the stool, and you're holding the book, and you share. I remember telling people, like, I felt like I was going in a fight with Tyson. Like, I could still feel the sweat trickling down my back. You know, but you do it, and you have fun, and they do crazy things, and you do crazy things with them. You know, like I said, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay. Just don't let it freeze you. But yeah, I was crazy nervous. Crazy nervous, but it was crazy fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you, I've taken a class of sort of not the best students ever at Dreher over to read to little kids, and I've never seen kids more like.
Right.
Like, okay, they're 3. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. And when you're working with kids, especially any kids, any age, try not to take it personal.
Oh.
You know, like people, you know, like a 2-year-old interrupts you or wants to get up and touch the book you were trying to convey. It's okay. Or even, you know, with teenagers. You know, try not to take it personal.
It's not about you. It's not.
It's, you know, they're gonna come in there, whatever. Like, you know, a kid says something like, "What?" But excuse me, they're not done yet. They're still baking. Right. They're not done yet.
So, 2 more quick questions.
Okay.
Well, it's probably not quick. Why do you tell? Why? Like, what's your motivation?
My motivation really is, we talked a little bit about empathy before. I'm really serious. I'm just going to say, I'm really serious about art. I think art makes everything better. Mm-hmm. It's a connector between me and you. You and I, totally different people, but we can find common ground, a place to connect as human beings, as people, as spirits, as souls, in the plane of art. Mm-hmm. Whether it's through a beautiful painting or a piece of dance or a great piece of theater or whatever. And I like to share that. So when I go out, I'm really thoughtful about what I'm doing. Let me take that back. I'm really thoughtful, but I'm lucky enough I do a lot of work. I have a little package, I have things. But when I come to your school, mm-hmm. or I come to your adult daycare center, or I come to your theater, library, museum, I'm serious about it. It doesn't mean we're going to have fun and all that, but I'm thoughtful about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. I've worked at it because I think hopefully I can make the world a little bit better. Mm-hmm. At least for 20, 30, 45, an hour, however long I'm there. I can make your world a little bit better. And depending on the audience, if I'm working with adults, I'm doing different types of things. But the end product, I used to tell people, if I had a factory, I remember Katie Weissman is. Guess what? When I did TEDx, they asked you a question. If you had a factory, what would you make? Mm-hmm. I'd make joy. I'd make joy. It's not enough in the world, and we all can meet at joy and figure stuff out. So I do it. It's my contribution to the world. It's what I do. I'm the art dude. That's who I am. I'm very comfortable being that.
Right.
I feel like that's one of my purposes in life. And so I want to, hopefully what I'm doing makes people smarter, makes people kinder, makes people stronger, makes people more resilient, maybe even lets people accept their failures, mm-hmm. and understand you are not alone. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, that's even part of my wrestling. Just like most artists, I wrestle with the art and the need for commercial success. So, one of the things, like, some of my friends are always getting on me because what I've done, I've priced myself to make money, but I've kept myself accessible.
Right.
So to be totally honest, I could probably make more money. Well, it's not. I could make more money, but I wouldn't be accessible to as many people.
Right.
So it's that whole thing. But part of that is because I'm really considering the art.
Yes.
It's not, hell, if I was trying to make money, I need to do something else.
You're talking to a bunch of librarians.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing in Forbes online?
Yep.
I was like, when I first read it, I was like,
I hope you guys saw that too, that libraries should be replaced with Amazon story. Anyway.
Right. And when I first read it, I was like, I remember telling my wife, I was like, I can't even believe they published this, because one,
it was poorly researched.
It was so poor, and it was
poorly researched.
It wasn't like I was telling us, like, it wasn't the worst written article. If something could be that wrong but artful, mm-hmm. funny, or an interesting take, you're like, okay, I can see this is wrong, but I can see maybe the appeal. I thought the writing was mediocre at best, and then it was all wrong.
Yeah, it was wrong, and he did no research. I'm like, you're a PhD. It's so shameful.
Like, if they sat down, I'm like, I was really surprised. And then we saw Forbes deleted it. Did you see that?
Yeah, they took it
and I said, okay, that makes sense, because I was like, I had higher regard for them than that. And I was like, that was crap.
Yeah.
And they just published that like that?
They published somebody else's rebuttal that was really great about libraries,
okay.
by the way. So, all right, so I want to let you guys know that I did not prompt him to talk about joy, but that's something that I've been saying this whole semester.
Really?
Yes,
oh,
because
cool.
There's the joy in the stories. And this group of students has been just talking about their joy in going back to stories, because we had to read myths, fables, all that stuff.
That's one of the best pieces of advice. If you did the story, and there's two things: dig the story, but also dig telling the story. Because there's tons of stories I dig, but it's like, I don't think I'd be a good teller for that.
Right.
But if you dig the story and you dig telling the story,
it shows.
yeah, and to be totally honest, even if you mess up, I work with novice actors all the time. That's part of our mission. We do a lot of teaching. I tell my actors all the time, if you're having fun, the audience is going to forgive you.
Right.
Even when you make an
Just
obvious mistake.
Get out there and own it.
Right. They will forgive you. Find your joy. Find your joy, and it will just make you, like, one of the big secrets for me, like, people always ask me, like, oh, what's your secret? It's like, I want to be here. When I come, I'm just like everybody else. I get in the car, like, man, what am I thinking? I didn't charge them enough money. Oh, man, I got to drive how far? Man, I got all this to do, and I'm having all these thoughts,
Right.
Then I get in the space, I'm like, we start hanging out, we start telling stories, and it's like, I'm just like everybody, we got what's going on with my kid, what's going on with my bills, what's going on, and blah, 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 blah. But when I get to the space, I want to be there. And I think I don't have to worry about how to communicate it. It gets communicated. You know how it is. You've been with someone who didn't want to be there.
Right.
And they don't have to say anything. Usually you just look at it. It's like, I don't want to be here.
Right. Well, I go to a lot of high school drama performances, so they're a little spotty.
Yeah.
They're mostly pretty good, but they're a little bit spotty.
Right, because it's about giving people an opportunity to perform. So, but I want to be there. Claim your joy. Like you said, claim it. Let it be yours. I used to feel, even now I still kind of almost feel apologetic about talking about it sometimes, because I guess it can sound kind of corny or whatever, but it's simple. I tell people, things become cliche. A lot of things become cliche because they're truth.
Right.
And that truth doesn't change. Yeah. So it's my truth, it's your truth, and people say it all the time. Oh, that's so cliche. That doesn't mean it's not true. So. Yeah.
All right. So one more thing. I asked you, and I should have asked you before I started recording, but do you want to tell a poem? Do you have a 1 minute little?
Do I have a 1 minute? Do I have a 1 minute ditty? No.
Okay.
You have to come. You have to pay me money. Come see the whole thing.
All right.
35 minutes later.
We'll figure it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing Darion in person, and look for him. Look for him.
Hire him.
Yeah, hire him.
Hire him.
If you're working in a library, in a school library,
festivals, libraries, street corners, have stories, we'll tell.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.